Governor Tony Evers says the Trump administration has eliminated a test for bird flu, essentially decimated Head Start programs with no alternatives in place, and closed offices dedicated to mental health and substance use disorders.
I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
The Brewers are back to 500. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kuska filling in for Mike Clemens. Christian Yelich hit a 2-run home run as Milwaukee won its second game in a row.
Yelich bangs one into right center. It is high and deep and gone.
That call courtesy of FanDuel Sports Wisconsin. That blast was part of a 3-run third inning for the Brewers, winning 5-1 over the Houston Astros last night. The home run was the highlight, but it was a team effort.
Everybody's going to notice Yellie's homer, and obviously the Hoskins 2 hits with a big double there, but Bauers' bunt hit made that kid throw extra pitches and got us deeper in the inning.
Starting pitcher Tobias Myers did well.
He set the tone. He threw strikes. That was it. He attacked the zone with all 3 pitches. Never really got to his changeup much, but he attacked his zone.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy. It'll be the same 2 teams, Brewers and Astros, again tonight. The 2 teams wrap up their 3-game series tomorrow afternoon. Filling in for Mike Clemens, I'm Jimmy Kuska with Civic Media Sports.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly clear, a low near 50. And staying on the cooler edge tomorrow, but still very pleasant, partly to mostly sunny and a high in the low 60s. With sunshine on Thursday, the wind off the bay, highs only upper 50s. Currently at 75 degrees.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app. Mino and the Mayor.
I talked to my brother yesterday, the priest, and he's in Quick Trip, and this lady's there, and she goes, I got up and watched the Pope's funeral this morning. Well, that's great. She goes, that was on really early, and he goes, oh yeah, 3:30. She goes, they probably did that because of the draft.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 and 96.5 WISS and the Civic Media app. John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
On Wednesday's show, we'll welcome Mary Beth Hendrickson and Michael Burge will join us to talk about the upcoming Mocktail Bash.
And award-winning Terry Barr has another slice.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who likes pina coladas but hates getting caught in the rain, Pete Schwaba.
Let's do it. LFG, baby. Let's go. It is time for Nightlight. It is great to be here. Great to have you with me. This is a fun show tonight, folks. You're here on a gorgeous night. It's so nice outside. If you go outside in the nice weather, it's just going to overwhelm you. So pull the family around the radio, stay indoors, and listen to the radio. And let's talk about movies and TV. And tonight, parks and film incentives and a comedy competition in Oshkosh. So much fun stuff going on here tonight. Great to have you. And yeah, we're going to do it. Conrad, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Do you know who the king of LFG is?
I don't know.
I think it's Tom Brady.
Is it really? God, I'm stealing Tom Brady's phrases. Why do you say that? He started that?
Well, I don't think he actually started, but
all right.
Before every game, he runs to the crowd, screams LFG, fist bumps, and runs back.
He could be saying, let's floss gingerly. That could be what it,
No, he doesn't say the acronym.
He says the actual words.
Yeah.
Let's floss gingerly. whatever reason, it gets his team wound up. Okay.
That intimidates the opponents right there.
He gets it done. That's why he's the GOAT. I don't even know if he's the GOAT.
You know, I watched a really funny video last night, and I don't know what your feelings are on Skip Bayless.
Kind of a tool, but whatever.
So there's this YouTube page called Jubilee, and they were doing like, they had one politician in the middle, and then they surround him by a bunch of regular people.
Okay.
And
us commoners.
And then they set a clock, and then people have to run to the chair to try to argue with him.
Oh, so it's like a privilege that gets to see who gets to go head to head with.
Yes. So they did one with Skip Bayless. Okay.
Okay.
And he claims that Tom Brady is the GOAT and Patrick Mahomes is he said laughably overrated.
He is such a clown.
You don't know how many people disagreed with him. And like, they had great points about it. But like, the only thing he kept coming back to was Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl losses. Like, yeah,
but Brady's got three of them.
Yeah, and
Brady could Brady's 7-3. He could just as easily be 5-5 or 4-6.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not, and you got to give him credit. That's like people saying, "Oh, take Jordan off the Bulls." Well, he's on the Bulls, but it's the same thing with Brady, and he is great. The guy got to 10 Super Bowls. You can't argue with that.
No, you can't. And I just think it's hilarious if you get to watch that, you're just gonna be like, Skip, why did you do this to yourself?
I'll tell you why he does it to himself, because he's laughing all the way to the bank. He says crazy crap, and people hate him. And Stephen A. Smith is controversial. When they were on the show together, they both would say stuff. Although I feel like Stephen A. Smith is really speaking what he believes, whether you agree with it or not. Skip Bayless, I just think he's a clown.
He actually, like, he says LeBron is in his top 10 NBA players. He says LeBron is number 9 on his list.
Ooh. See, again, hot take or something just to rile people up. The phone lines from Cleveland are lighting up. He's a dope. But I think Let's Floss Gingerly is a great way to get a team riled up, especially in a combat sport. Can you imagine, like,
Brian
Silva?
Brian from Green Bay.
I just saw that, Have you seen Brady's teeth? Definitely a flosser. Chuck Cecil? Not so much. I've never seen Chuck Cecil's teeth. The way he played, I'd be surprised if he still has some.
Great text, Brian.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, thank you. We got a couple of texts I got to get to from last night. Bud texted in at 4:43 in the morning, an ungodly hour, but that's when Bud's up. That's when he does his best work. It was teen movies last night, right? Was the question. So Bud chimes in overnight. He listens to the rebroadcast from 4 to 6, which I think is great. And Bud says, "Hey, Pete and Conrad with a K." Nicely done, Bud. "My wife and I subscribed to a service that would send us movies on VHS tapes. We still have them." Oh, wow. Right now? That's impressive. He says, "We still have them, but we don't have a working VHS player. Some titles of teen movies included The Buttercream Gang, The Sandlot, and my favorite, Rigoletto. Love the show, Bud from Janesville." Thank you, Bud. I've not heard of 2 of those. I have to be honest. The Sandlot's an absolute classic. And the VHS thing might have been a joke, but there's a store in Madison that rents out VHS tapes. This guy's like, he has this really cool shop right off State Street. And I wonder if that's the place he gets his tapes from. Bud texted again 11 minutes later. He had another thought while he was driving around Madtown.
Yes, he did.
He says, "Oh, and hey, Pete, I was also a subscriber to Columbia House Music Cassettes, 14 cassettes for 1 cent, but I should have read the fine print." He's probably still paying those off now. He says, "Still love the show." 11 minutes later, I'm glad Bud still loves the show. So thank you, Bud. And he's actually in Janesville. Okay, not Madison. For some reason, I thought Bud was in Madison. So Brian also says, "Use the Google
to see Cecil's teeth."
I guess you're welcome to Google that if you like. Conrad. You can share the post in the stream if you like. I'm kind of curious to see his teeth. Great show tonight, folks. A great night for you to be here. We're going to cover a few different topics tonight. This will be fun. We've got Cliff Wall will be here in the 7:00 hour. He is on the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks Board. We're going to talk about all the cool things you can do in Wisconsin State Parks this summer. We have amazing state parks here. I hope they are not under attack like so much other stuff that we share is. But Cliff will be here, and he can give us kind of the lowdown of what to expect, what's going to happen this summer, some of the cool events, the trails. that's going to be fun. Cliff was here a few weeks ago with Sam Vanacci, they're part of that group trying to get Jack Vanacci into the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame. Cliff was a great guest, and I said, it'd be great to come back and talk about the parks, and he agreed. So he will be here in the second hour. I'm working my way back, Conrad. 7:05, we've got Co O'Neill. That is his name, Co, C-O. How cool is that? Co will be here. Co is a professor at UW Stout. He is actively involved in Action Wisconsin, which is the group trying to bring film incentives to Wisconsin. And we just found out yesterday, or I just found out yesterday, although I think it was kind of a last minute thing, the House Ways and Means Committee here in Wisconsin is going to they're going to have a hearing about the bill. So we'll know more tomorrow, but Co will be here to kind of fill us in, maybe help us figure out how we can help support them, or just let us know kind of where things are at. Another cool thing I found out about Co is he used to work for George Lucas. He worked at Lucasfilm Limited, which is really cool. So I'll ask him about that too. Yeah. But now he's chilling in Stout, teaching art design and video production, and I think screenwriting. So looking forward to meeting Co at 7:05. And then at 6:35, Ben Giles. This guy's on the move, man. He is in Oshkosh. I think he's an Oshkosh resident. We didn't cover this yesterday, but he has a comedy competition. He's trying to find the funniest comedian in Oshkosh. And they're doing it at the Oshkosh Arena, May 10th. And he is the founder of, I think it's Laughable Productions. But Ben will be here at 6:35 to tell us about this really cool event that you can still go to. It's at the Oshkosh Arena. Have you ever been there? You know where that is?
I have not been there, actually.
It sounds huge because the word arena is used. I mean, I hope it's not like a 20,000 seater and they got 80 people in the crowd, but I think that's awesome. And I love that he's doing this, and we'll talk to Ben about that and give you guys some more information about that too. So that's your lineup on tonight's show. Parks, film incentives, and comedy competitions. Should be fun. Great to have you with me. Let's get to the question of the night, shall we?
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions?
This question.
Domanda.
Question.
Questions.
All right, summer is here, or so it would seem. Maybe we'll get snow this weekend. I don't know. I hope not. But it is gorgeous outside here in Northeast Wisconsin. I know it's gorgeous where you are in Wisconsin. The whole state is beautiful today. Summer's here. And it's National Beverage Day. So tonight's question is, what is your favorite cool summer drink? What do you find refreshing on a hot summer day? Let us know. You can also share how you like to drink it. You like to sit on the stoop, on the deck? Where do you like to drink your summer drink too? But that's the question. What is your favorite cool summer drink? Let us know at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also text us on the Civic Media app, which, as you know, is very easy to use. And if you're watching on the stream on YouTube, Facebook, or X, you can text us there too. Text us on the stream. So let's do some, well, I'll read those next. But I think that's a good question. What would your answer be?
I have two. Like, there's one alcoholic and then one non.
I'm going to do that too.
And my favorite alcoholic is mojito.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing. It doesn't taste like super sweet like those other drinks, I think. I think you can have more than one and still be like, yeah, I really enjoy this drink. And then my non-alcoholic, it'd probably be an Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one too.
And I'm drinking it right now.
Oh, look at you. I'm going to agree with you half. I'll do non-alcoholic first. I like a non-alcoholic beer, and I'm not a beer drinker. It's when I quit booze temporarily, I've discovered the joy of Blue Moon non-alcoholic. So that would be my summer drink. It tastes it's delicious. My summer drink, and this is kind of weird. I'm going to over-explain this, but it would be probably a margarita, but a double. Because margaritas, in my opinion, typically are too sweet. So I like a nice, strong margarita. You obviously can't drink as many of them, but on a summer day, give me a margarita. As a refreshing drink, I also like a great martini, like kind of with half dirt, some olive juice, but a nice martini with olives shaken. But I like that. I like that any time of the year. I'm going to say margarita and a Blue Moon non-alcoholic. So you don't have to share non-alcoholic drinks, folks. I know that's not as fun. But just share whatever it is your favorite cool summer drink is. We'd love to hear it, and we'll read it on the radio. We have a caller?
Yes, we do. Cindy from Appleton.
Cindy from Appleton. It's about time. How you been?
Good. No, I'm not really so good. I actually have shingles, which I'm telling you is a pain in the ass. Oh, my God.
Pain everywhere. I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. But anyway, my two favorite drinks for the summer, alcoholic none. My alcoholic beverage is a really icy cold, good sangria.
Ooh, nice choice.
Yep. And then, of course, my non-alcoholic is water with a lemon or a lime or a cucumber. Water is always my favorite.
And you know what? To me, Cindy, the lemon makes it too. That's a fantastic, that makes it refreshing. I would thank you for the call, and I would encourage you to drink as much sangria as you can to get through shingles.
The only thing is I can't drink alcohol with the medication, so.
Oh, says who?
Yeah.
Just tell him a guy on the radio said it was okay. No.
Okay, Doc.
Thank you, Cindy. Have a great night and get better soon.
Bye.
Okay. Boy, I had a shingles shot, the vaccine, which to some people basically gives you shingles, or a condensed version of it that lasts for like anywhere from 18 to 24 to 30 hours. And if shingles is worse than how the vaccine made me feel, I feel bad for anybody with shingles. So I've never had it. I hope never to get it. And so far the vaccine has kept it away from me, but you do get a little taste of it. It's not fun. All right. When we come back, I'm going to read your text, and Conrad and I'm going to play, if you guys missed this last Friday, the big debate on the internet was, can 100 men or women defeat a silverback gorilla? Well, Conrad and I took one on. We're going to replay that next and read your texts. Fun night here. Great to have you with me. It's Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network.
From Hobart to Bay Settlement, 97.9 WGBW.
Mark your calendars for heart-pumping, exhilarating action at the 2025 Queen Marinette's Run the River Powerboat Races in Marinette, Wisconsin on June 7th and 8th. The action will be nonstop as these high-octane boats reach speeds of over 105 miles per hour. Races kick off on Saturday and Sunday at 12:30 p.m. and run throughout the day. Free for the whole family, this is the perfect summertime weekend getaway. For more information, head to fishonmarinette.com and click on the events page.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. Returning Tennessee citizens convicted of most felonies can now have their voting rights returned by a court order rather than a pardon from the governor under a new law enacted May 2nd. It also removed the requirement that all fees be paid prior to those rights being restored. According to the Sentencing Project, Tennessee follows only Florida and Texas in the percentage of its citizens denied the right to vote. Over 300,000 Tennesseans who have completed their sentences cannot vote due to past felony conviction, 6% of otherwise eligible voters. May 2nd, Governor Bill Lee signed Senate Bill 407, allowing courts to issue an order that a formerly incarcerated citizen convicted of a common felony qualifies to have citizenship rights restored. Unlike other states' reforms, however, Tennessee will still require a pardon to restore rights to those convicted of so-called infamous felonies, including murder, rape, treason, voter fraud, certain felonies involving bribery, and sexual offenses where the victim was a minor. SB 407 also removes the stipulation that any outstanding fees be paid before voting rights are restored, wielded as a voter suppression tactic by Florida and other states. Mississippi's legislature, which considered rights restoration legislation earlier this year, again defeated all of its proposed bills. We have more on Tennessee's new law at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
host for this evening's program. Great to have you with me on this beautiful night here in the state of Wisconsin. So I just want to say, too, if there are any teachers listening, my wife is a teacher, and I see how hard they work. It is National Teacher Appreciation Day. So for all you do, thank you, teachers. They're kind of under attack in a lot of public school districts, but they work so hard. And I know people say, oh, they get summers off. They really don't get the whole summer off. Most of them are in their classroom quite a bit during the summer. And it used to be, if you were a teacher, you got great benefits and all that stuff. That's gone too. So these teachers go into the profession knowing they are never going to be rich from what they do. And they do it because they love to work with kids. So tip of my hat to all teachers. If any of you are listening, thank you for teaching our kids. National Teacher Appreciation Day. It's also National Beverage Day and the first day of summer. Well, kind of. So our question of the night is, what is your favorite cool summer drink? And we've got, do we have a call?
Yes, we do. Brian from Milwaukee.
Brian from Milwaukee. Get out of town. Hey, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm out of town. I'm actually on this side of Milwaukee, and you're in Green Bay. But no, I hope you guys are doing well.
We're doing
yeah,
great.
I got a few summer drinks.
Yeah. Lay them on.
I'm glad you guys are doing well.
Yeah, please share.
Alcoholic drink would be a dirty Shirley.
Oh yeah.
I always love the what are they called? Shirley Temple.
Shirley
as a kid.
Temple. Yeah.
So it's just the alcoholic version, which is with the vodka.
Nice.
And then a Dirty Harry is actually technically the same thing as a Shirley Temple, except it uses, instead of the club soda, it uses like Coke and I think gin or something like that, or whiskey, depending on how you want it. I also do love a good root beer float.
Oh, yes.
And then there's also like a orange cream float that I've done before with vanilla ice cream and orange soda. That's really good too.
Those are fantastic. And you know something? I had one of those probably 2 years ago and I forgot they existed. And I'm like, it's almost not better than a root beer float because root beer float has like history on its side. But yeah, those are delicious. Awesome. Great choices.
The cream ones, the orange cream?
Absolutely. Yeah. Love them. So hoist one tonight for me and stay in town, Brian. Don't get out of town. Stay in Milwaukee. Thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right. Let's go to the what do we do? Let's do some text. We'll read some texts from the social media. We post the question on social media, folks, on our Facebook page. You're welcome to check that out during the day if you want and chime in on the question throughout the day. Mike on the on social media says lemonade. You can't go wrong with lemonade. I know Mike, and I don't think he drinks. So that's a good. We're getting a lot of non-alcoholic, very responsible.
Yeah.
Group of,
yeah.
Daniel Wheeler says John Daly. It's an Arnold Palmer 50-50 lemonade and iced tea with vodka added. They really help my golf game too. I bet they do. Well, you are a crappy golfer if drinking helps.
Oh, helps me.
It makes it more fun. I'd have to drink to get through a round of golf, I think. Our pal Emerson Lehman from WBAY TV here in Green Bay says, I drink roughly 3 gallons of Arnold Palmers a week.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. He must spend most of his time in the restroom because it's tea. Yeah, that's a lot.
Iced tea and lemonade.
It's like basically almost a half a gallon a day.
Yeah.
But you could do worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emerson, he's got the mic. He can do anything. He can drink. Have you ever drank with Emerson?
No.
Maybe he doesn't drink because he didn't answer. He answered a platonic drink, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Good to hear from you, Emerson. Todd Michaels says a rhubarb slush. Yes.
Todd, can you please text what that is?
I think I know. It's just a rhubarb flavored, like the icy. Think of like when you go to the movie theater and they have an icy, but it's rhubarb flavor and it's not as sweet and they put booze in there. My mom's family, the Murphys, used to put they live in Sussex and they were one of the first people to move to Sussex back in like the early 80s. You could still see downtown Milwaukee from their hill. Now it's all built up around there, but we used to sit up there. I didn't do it. I was a kid, but the adults used to sit up there and drink these like brandy slushies on a summer night. And I remember as a kid going, I cannot wait to drink that drink. Like it just looks so good. But a rhubarb slushie is probably the same thing. Going to the stream, Dave says gin and tonic. Great one, Dave. Very nice, refreshing drink. And then Dave also chimed in with a non-alcoholic iced tea. Iced tea is great because it's also like healthy.
I cannot just do iced tea by itself. I need lemonade, I feel like, in it.
Okay.
I don't know. It just tastes weird to me without lemonade.
It's just so good for you. You drink black tea over ice. It's delicious. That's a great choice. Thanks, Dave. Chris from Janesville says, please check out Darius Pro Pittman on Facebook. He has an incredible song for Men's Mental Health Month. Okay. We'll have to check that out. Is this mental? I guess it's probably Mental Health Month. If that's what he's. Thank you very much, Chris from Janesville. Chris also says, I'm boring ice cold Miller Lite. That's not boring, Chris. That's like the all-American, the all-Wisconsin drink.
Exactly.
The all-Wisconsin drink for guys watching their calorie intake. That's an excellent choice, Chris. Thank you, buddy. We've got Chris Casper, our pal Casper from Madison in the 608. He says, ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. Is that a Casper original?
No, that's a thing.
It's kind
with
of a new drink. That's why I was thinking maybe he just came up with that.
No, that's a huge thing with White Claws. That there's no laws, but I'll say this: they just started making a non-alcoholic claw too, so you could do both.
You could two-fist a non-alcoholic and an alcoholic. That seems try with your knee. That's healthy. Thank you, Chris. Great to hear from you, buddy. Ed from Madison says non-alcoholic Arnold Palmer, alcoholic John Daly. You could read that even without the question of the night, I think. And then Anna from Madison says, hi, Pete and Conrad. My cool summer drink is a pina colada. Great one. Yeah. Great one. And we get one more here. Chris, also from Janesville, Chris Sheridan from the 608 says, as a husband to a teacher, thank you. We are both husbands of teachers, pal. You're very welcome, Chris. All right, fantastic. We are going to come back and talk about a really cool Oshkosh comedy competition that is coming up next after Nightlight's news team keeps you informed. It's Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
A teardrop start, and it breaks my heart. When a teardrop falls, I wanna cry, cry, cry.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Tensions are rising between Governor Tony Evers and the Trump administration after a top federal official apparently threatened Evers with arrest over an immigration memo. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
The memo directed state employees to consult lawyers if federal agents arrived with legal documents, a move Evers says was designed to ensure compliance. The Trump administration's border czar Tom Homan suggested consequences for Evers. That led the governor to release a video late last week.
I haven't broken the law, I haven't committed a crime, and I've never encouraged or directed anyone to break any laws or commit any crimes.
Evers maintains he's done nothing wrong and vows to continue upholding what he says is the law.
Waupun Correctional Institution and Green Bay Correctional are the oldest prisons in Wisconsin, over 100 years old apiece. What does their future hold? Joanne Krulatz reports on a hearing about the prisons at the state capitol.
Governor Tony Evers has included $530 million in his next budget for the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. DOC Secretary Jared Hoy testified in front of an assembly committee Tuesday. He says aging facilities need to be updated, with Waupun and Green Bay Correctional Institutes having been built in the 1800s. Evers' proposal would close the Green Bay Correctional Institution and convert others while also expanding the earned release program. Republican leaders in the legislature are skeptical of the plan.
From local news to what's going on around the state, Civic Media's mission is to bring you real news and great conversation. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The summer movie season has arrived and is off to a pretty good start if this past weekend was any indication. The film Thunderbolts opened in first place domestically with $76 million. The opening is impressive considering the characters in the film are not some of the more Marvel marquee names, according to Variety. Good reviews and a good audience score should keep the movie in theaters for a while and give it legs. Another film that has shown incredible staying power is Sinners, which finished number 2 this week, bringing in $33 million, which is only a 28% drop-off from last week's take, which was only a 6% drop-off from its opening weekend haul. Sinners also had excellent reviews and obviously great response from audiences. Finishing in the third spot was the Minecraft movie, which also is showing some resiliency, bringing in $13.5 million in its 5th week. The top 5 was rounded out by The Accountant 2 with $9.5 million and horror film drama Until Dawn at just under $5 million. Have a great summer at the box office, everybody. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly clear, a low near 50. And staying on the cooler edge tomorrow, but still very pleasant, partly to mostly sunny and a high in the low 60s. With sunshine on Thursday, the wind off the bay, highs only upper 50s. Currently at 75 degrees.
Matt and Air on Air.
A farmer from southwestern Missouri, Will Westmoreland.
You're going to be really hard-pressed to find a farmer that says the tariffs are a good idea. The president's most ardent supporters in agriculture, the closest they'll come is saying, well, even though these tariffs are really bad, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that in the long run, this is going to pay off. But, Jane, that's a very, very small number of farmers that still believe that.
Catch Matt and Air on Air at its new time, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app. The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app. Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, join us next time. We'll talk about where your money goes in terms of Wisconsin.
This is Nightlight. I am Pete Schwaba, your loyal host for this evening's broadcast. Great to have you with me as we talk about the things in life that make us happy. Right, Conrad?
I agree.
All right, well done. So our question of the night, folks, is what is your favorite cool summer drink? It is National Beverage Day, and it seems like, anyway, summer is here. So let's celebrate and talk about things we want to drink this summer. And they don't have to be alcoholic. We've gotten a lot of suggestions about non-alcoholic drinks. So you can share those too. It could be an ice cold Coca-Cola for all I care. Just want to hear from you guys. It's more fun when you are part of the show. All right, so we got a lot to get to tonight. Great guests, and I'm going to bring the first one on right now. This gentleman, I believe, is from Oshkosh. We had a brief conversation yesterday, but he is the founder of Laughable Productions and also the Oshkosh Funniest Comedian Competition, which is coming up this weekend. It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Ben Giles to Nightlight. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Hey, the pleasure is all ours. I'm applaud what you're doing because the world needs more laughter. And I can tell just by looking at you on the stream, you are a happy guy and you like to laugh. So that's great that comes across right from the get-go. Nice to meet you, buddy.
Nice to meet you as well. And I completely agree. The world needs laughter more now than ever. And that was part of the reason why we started Laughable Productions, 6 years ago, was because we wanted to bring more laughter to the Fox Valley. And Oshkosh's Funniest Comedian is doing that. So we're really, really excited.
So let's talk about that, but let's also talk about, you said it's 6 years old. What do you do? What is Laughable Productions? Tell people about your business.
Yeah, so we're a comedy entertainment company. We produce all sorts of shows, mainly murder mystery dinner theaters and comedy shows.
Okay.
So we started with murder mystery dinner theater shows, and we started doing improv comedy, stand-up comedy. We've done all sorts of stuff, trivia, fundraisers. During COVID, we did a virtual show over Zoom. It was called 10 Ways to Survive Life in Quarantine, and it was like a little play that a playwright had written 2 weeks fresh into the pandemic.
Wow.
So we really just try to do things that we think people will like and that will, give people the opportunity to maybe try something a little more unique and in the process laugh a little.
Absolutely. I love it. Let's do the stand-up thing. Are you a comedian, Ben? I think we talked about this a little bit. Okay. How's that going?
Great. I like improv. I'm an improv guy.
Okay.
I've been recently trying my hand at stand-up. I've done probably 3 shows, mainly hosting the shows that we've been producing. I'll do 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning. And it's been good. I think I'm starting to really like stand-up, but got my start in improv comedy for sure.
What's harder?
I don't know. Honestly, if you would have asked me before I did stand-up, I would have said improv. But now that I've tried stand-up's actually pretty tough. They're really different. In my opinion, improv is, you got to be really quick on your feet, and you really play well with your other players. But stand-up, it's a really great relationship that you have to have between you and the audience, and you can really be up there for a couple minutes, and if your jokes aren't hitting, it can be brutal.
Does it help to have people? I've done some improv years and years ago before I did stand-up, and it seems like you can lean on people if it's not going well. Does that make it a little bit easier? I mean, you still could get stared at. I mean, a bad crowd is a bad crowd, but
absolutely. When one of the things that we'd always stress, if it's not your show, it's not your show. Let your co-stars shine. There's no shame in that, it being a supporting role in a scene or during a game. Because it's really about the audience's experience, right? So don't make it about you, especially if the audience is gravitating toward your other player. Let them shine and tee them up, set them up for some good jokes and for some good bits, and let them go. But yeah, it can be really tough. The key is really finding people that you have good chemistry with, right? Like, obviously you need to have that good yes and you got to be able to play off of what the audience is giving you and your suggestion in the game, but also finding people that you actually have a connection with. And I like doing improv with people that I know and that I'm friends with, because that's the easiest way to make jokes and to make people laugh.
That's a great answer. Okay, so tell us about this great event you have. It's coming up May 10th at the Oshkosh Arena. Tell us about this cool competition.
Yeah, so it's called Oshkosh's Funniest Comedian. And we're going to have 4 preliminary rounds with at least 10 comedians at each round, starting in May. First one is this Saturday, May 10th at the Oshkosh Arena, 7 o'clock. Tickets are still available. You can buy them at the door or online. And then, we have the next preliminary round in June, July, then August. And the winner of each of those rounds is determined by an audience vote and a panel of judges. So we're going to have a panel of judges there. Audience is going to be able to vote for who they think is best as well. And then the winner of each preliminary round is going to go to the finale in September. And super excited about this. So we're bringing in Josh Blue. He won Last Comic Standing in the 2000s, and he was runner-up on America's Got Talent in 2022. And so he's going to headline the finale for us. And those 4 finalists are going to open for him. Everyone that comes to the show will have a vote, to see who they want to crown as Oshkosh's funniest. But then Josh Blue is also going to be on the panel judging for the finale as well. So
cool.
Oshkosh Arena is really trying to bring fun things to the Oshkosh area. They're under a new group that's operating them, Venue Works, and the Venue Works team has been nothing but amazing. I mean, they are really trying to bring unique ventures that you may not get in your typical Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and they're doing a great job at doing that.
Boy, I think that's really cool that you're doing it over 3 or 4 months, because it almost sounds like an NCAA. Do any of the comics get buys? Like, if they're the best comics, do they get a?
I did think about that. We do have some really good comics coming. I'm not going to lie to you. Two of the 5 finalists for the Madison's Funniest Comic competition are going to be competing in Oshkosh. Those are some heavy hitters. And then there's some guys that have filmed specials, and they're, so we could have, but no, Everyone's on an equal playing field.
Good.
All 10 comedians each round are going to be. I mean, you could bring friends. You can sack the room. I mean, there's going to be about 50-50 between audience and judges. So it's not the only factor, but the more people you bring, the better you'll do. And I think the funnier comedians probably have a larger following, so they probably have an advantage in that regard for sure.
Okay. My guest is Ben Giles. He is the founder of Laughable Productions, and he is putting on a really cool competition at the Oshkosh Arena called Oshkosh's Funniest Comedian. You mentioned some heavy hitters. Who can you mention names, Ben? Like who you have?
I don't want to sound biased. I can mention some of the folks that we have this coming Saturday because they're all announced. The one that I specifically had, reference about Madison's Funniest Comic. Her name is Brianne Wilhite. She'll be there this Saturday. We have a local guy out of Oshkosh that's coming in. His name's Alex Morris. We got a Fond du Lac guy coming in, Eric Weeks. He's done a lot of shows with us in the past, but
nice.
I don't want to be too biased because we want to give everybody a fair shot. But those are some of the names that are probably recognizable that we have coming up this Saturday. And then in the future, as we announce, I have the slate of comedians for the next 3 rounds. Everybody's confirmed.
Nice.
There will be some heavy hitters, and I'm really excited to see everyone's reaction too when they see who's going to be competing. And honestly, I think it's up for grabs. It's going to be anybody's race because there are some really funny people that we got coming on.
Well, and it's, anybody can, even though you call them heavy hitters, and I'm sure they are, someone could have a great show that night. You don't know. It's not a slam dunk because
Exactly.
crowds can be fickle and have different reactions to different people. So it sounds like a blast. Tell us about the Oshkosh Arena. What's that venue like? I've never even heard of Now, I've never lived in Oshkosh, but I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been a great partner to us. We've done 2 murder mystery dinner theaters there, and now we're kicking off, Oshkosh's Funniest Comedian. They were previously called the Menominee Nation Arena, and there was a little bit of controversy in the press the last couple years. There's some issues with some loans and some bankruptcy, and so that's why they have that new operating group coming in.
Okay.
And that's why they're trying to kind of reestablish themselves in the community because for a while it seemed like it might be going under. But they originally, it was built to kind of host the Herd, which is the Milwaukee Bucks G League team.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so the Herd plays all their home games at the Oshkosh Arena. And now, the Oshkosh Arena has done a really great job of trying to bring in other things that are, more than just the Herd so that people have these entertainment experiences. But, it's a decent sized arena. It can host 4,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have
And they
it
different
cordoned off
venues.
or?
Yeah. So
Okay.
for our event this weekend, they have like a VIP lounge that seats like 250. And so we're probably going to be in that VIP lounge, but if we're pushing
Nice.
close to 250 by Saturday, we might move to that big main floor, put
Wow.
up some black curtains and, have seating in the middle, kind of the bowl is what they call it. But yeah, then they have, stadium seating going up, and the goal is to sell that puppy out when Josh Blue comes for that
How about
finale
that?
in September.
You should do it. You should make the comics do like a layup line, like have them go out and
Right?
make it a real event.
Yeah, you can free throw a layup and a 3-pointer if you want to advance.
Exactly. So are there parameters, Ben? Like, do the comics have to be clean or can they work blue? What are the issues there?
Yeah, no parameters. Really, the only thing that we've told these comedians is they have 8 minutes. So they have 8-minute set and no props.
Okay.
Everything
I
else
love
up
it.
to them. I mean, they can go as dark and dirty as they want, and they can take the high road and do some clean comedy. But it'll be interesting because, as you probably know, every audience is different, right? And when you're
Yeah.
walking into a room, you're trying to gauge, which of your jokes are going to land with this crew, and what's going to differentiate you between these 9 other comedians who are also thinking the same thing you are, reading the audience. And so I'm excited to see what happens. I know, we've hosted a decent amount of shows the last couple months with stand up. And we've had a wide range of people that have gone really dark, really
Oh,
dirty.
really?
And I mean, some people in the audience are, you see a little cringe from time to time, but most of our comedians are great at, kind of reading the room and knowing what their audience likes and, trying to appease everyone.
So they can be dirty or clean, but if Carrot Top shows up with his trunk, you're going to send him packing.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Good. Do you wear clean as a comic? I mean, I know you've only been up a few times, but do you tend to stay clean, or you sort of?
No. I've gone low. I mean, I told myself when I started doing stand up, because I have a day job and, Laughable Productions is kind of like a side gig thing. And, we do all this entertainment stuff, but, I've been elected to public office before, I kind of have this persona. So I told myself when I started stand up that I wasn't necessarily going to go dirty or low, but I found myself on stage the last 2 times telling some pretty on the line risque content. So
I love it. Ben Giles is here. We're going to do a very quick break. We'll come back and have a couple more minutes with him. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite Lite on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local news, weather, and sports on air and streaming on the Civic Media app. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Appleton Cigar Company on College Avenue has been serving the community for over 25 years. If you are a cigar aficionado looking for a one-of-a-kind experience, you need to check out Appleton Cigar, which boasts the largest selection of cigars north of Milwaukee with over 706 cigars to choose from in a walk-in humidor. The Cigar Lounge offers an impressive variety of spirits and cocktails that pair perfectly with a premium cigar. For the full experience, come to Appleton Cigar at 415 College Ave, Monday through Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. For more information, go to appletoncigar.com.
Feeling better is about feeling all kinds of things. You want to feel healthy, sure, but you also want to feel heard and understood, valued, even, loved. That's what we want too. We're Amplify Health, and we think the best way to care for someone is to care about them. That's why all our treatments include a little empathy. Welcome to healthcare that's all about caring. Welcome to Amplify Health by Bellin. A little empathy changes everything.
Tattoo addiction is here, now in the Fox River Mall. They are the only walk-in tattoo shop open all day, every day, like no other. Check out their $40 small tattoo special, perfect for your first ink or a fresh edition. And that's not all. Their piercing game is strong. From nose to navel, they've got top quality jewelry and expert piercers ready to hook you up. While your family shops, get the treatment you deserve. Come meet their experts today inside Fox River Mall. Tattoo addiction. Walk in, get ink, stand out.
Hey, it's Amanda, and we all know that Northeast Wisconsin has some of the best events around, but trying to find them all can be tricky. So here at WGBW, we decided to do the work for you. Prevent boredom on any night by going to WGBW.FM and click events in the top right corner. You'll never have to spend forever scrolling to find out what's going on in your area. And if you got an event to share, hit us up by emailing info@WGBW.FM. We can work together to have real news and great conversation while giving you the 411 on what's happening in New Wisco.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Yo, I'm your old basketball. Haven't seen you out on the courts in a while. Why not pass me over to Goodwill? Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. And that's a slam dunk. Donate today. Hey, I got next.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
This is Nite Lite. I am Pete Schwaba. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite cool summer drink? My guest right now is Ben Giles. He is the founder of Laughable Productions and has a really cool comedy contest happening in Oshkosh. The first round happens May 10th. That's Saturday, I believe, right, Ben?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so at the Oshkosh Arena, there's still seats available, I understand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, how can people get tickets, Ben?
You can go to OshkoshArena.com.
Okay.
And you can buy online through Ticketmaster. If you want to save money on those Ticketmaster fees, you can buy at the Oshkosh Arena box office in person, or you can buy at the door the night of the show.
Very cool. So this is that's exciting. So do you have who are some of your favorite Wisconsin comedians aside from ones we've just named, Ben? Do you have favorites here in the state?
I mean, I love listening to Charlie Barron's. I think he's so funny because he really kind of localized comedy for a lot of people.
Totally.
It's the Manitowoc Minute. It was we've seen that kind of news desk format happen before in the past, but to have it be so hyper localized and have it really go viral among the Midwest. And then I've had the chance to see him in person a couple times do stand up, and I think he does a really good job of playing into the culture. And so he's one of the guys that I really like. One of my friends in college, his name's Jeffrey Asmus. He got his start in Madison. He won Madison's Funniest Comic when we were in college in 2015. And he's been touring all over the country now. He's super funny. And he's found some viral success online too, which I think is awesome. He's got millions of followers between his Instagram and his TikTok. And so it's really cool to see someone, that used to do comedy with, used to go to all these comedy college parties at UW. And then all of a sudden he's, selling out comedy clubs across the country. But yeah, those are probably two that I like to watch the most. And I'm hoping that maybe we'll find the next big Wisconsin star through our competition here.
Wouldn't that be something? What about outside of Wisconsin on a more national level? Is there someone that if you're spinning the dial at night and a comedian's on, you have to sit there and watch them?
Yeah, I really like Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura. I also like their podcast. Theo Vaughn, I know he can be some people don't really like Theo. They think he's a little distasteful at times, but I think he is so funny. And he just got to interview Trump, which I think is wild. Mainstream politicians are now going on podcasts with comedians.
Right.
It's a wild time to be alive. So those are a couple that I really like. Some, iconic folks from back in the day. Chris Rock, I think, is super funny.
Very funny.
Eddie Murphy, some two classics from way back when. And then one guy that I find it kind of, I wasn't really old enough to like him in the moment, but I've really, really loved is Chris Farley. I mean, if I could just be Chris Farley, man, that would be a dream for me. I love watching Chris Farley sketch comedy in his movies. I think he's just the funniest guy.
Hilarious. So before we let you go, Ben, tell us about these dinner theater shows you do and where can people find out more information? Do you do the ones up here in Green Bay or is that a separate outfit?
No, it's a separate company.
Okay.
I used to be a detective in those in the Madison area, same company. And that's kind of what spurred me to start this in Fond du Lac in 2019. But yeah, so Murder Mystery Dinner Theaters are super fun. You can find all the info at laughableproductions.com or our Facebook or Instagram. One thing that I think we do really well that a lot of other dinner theaters don't do is we have some really cool themed nights. We just finished a Kentucky Derby themed murder mystery.
Cool.
And we're doing an 80s prom themed murder mystery Friday, May 16th in Oshkosh. And so all those details are at our website, laughableproductions.com. You can buy tickets there. You get dinner, entertainment. Sometimes you get a drink ticket with your ticket as well. And it's a really fun night, and it's different. It's not your typical go hang out at the bars. You can still throw back a couple beers if you like your old fashions. We'll have a bar for you. We're funnier when you're drunk, but you can have some really, really great entertainment from a local comedy group.
I am so curious about those because I've been reading about them for years. So one of these days I'll have to mosey over and check out.
I'll send you a ticket, Pete. You pick which one works in your schedule, and I'll get you a ticket. You can come check her out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, listen, buddy, I think it's great. I love that you're doing this. I wish you luck, break a leg, and keep us posted as things progress. We can have you on before the rounds or whatever and try to get some butts in the seats for you because people need to laugh, like we said. And I think this sounds like a really cool event. So break a leg, bud.
I appreciate that, Pete, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for bringing me on. This was really fun.
Anytime. My pleasure. All right. That's Ben Giles. Check out OshkoshArena.com, I believe is where you can get the tickets, or Ticketmaster. But you can avoid the fees by going to OshkoshArena.com, which is great too. But check out Laughable Productions and Oshkosh's Funniest Comedian Competition. I absolutely love that. Conrad, you should enter that.
I don't have a set,
Come on, you got time?
I could just go out there and just see what happens.
See what happens. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite cool summer drink? And we've got some really great answers so far. Annie from Watertown says twice. Oh, this is in regard to Cindy's shingles. Annie says twice had shingles, age 58 and 63. Finally got the 2-dose vax reaction to the second, but really nothing compared to getting shingles. Yeah, okay. I think Annie's saying I was kind of being whiny because I was saying the vaccine kind of gives you shingles for like a few hours. My lower back was killing. I was shaking. So if obviously shingles is actually worse than that. So I didn't mean to downplay shingles. I've heard it's horrible. And she said that in all caps. Nothing compared to getting shingles. 18 million exclamation points. And first time felt ill after a vaccine. Yeah, there you go. Annie says, Cuba Libre. That's a drink? Warm or cool summer drink? I like
Sounds
that.
good.
Sounds beautiful. Ross from Crawford County says, Aperol Spritz, 1/3 Aperol and 2/3 sparkling wine. All right. Thank you, Ross. Awesome. Keep those texts coming, folks. We will be right back to find out more about the incentives that are up for discussion on the House tomorrow. We'll do that with Co O'Neill. It's coming up next. It's Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
It's happened to me.
WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a civic media radio station.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Dave Packer. India launching an overnight missile attack into Pakistan. At least 8 killed, 35 injured, say Pakistani officials. Right to ABC's Tom Sophie Burridge with the latest.
These are two, fairly hardline governments that have been at war in the past, that are going into a tit-for-tat situation at the moment. And there's no clear indication, I think, at this early stage of where this will head. And obviously the stakes are incredibly, incredibly high.
India is saying it hit terrorist infrastructure. The U.S. State Department avoiding expressing support for either side. ABC's Shannon Kingston at the State Department.
These are two nuclear powers, so it is very difficult to overstate just how chaotic, catastrophic a direct head-to-head war between the two countries could become.
The Pakistani army saying it's responding from the air and ground. The Pakistani prime minister calling it an act of war. This is ABC News.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The former fire chief in Lakewood was sentenced to a year in jail Monday after pleading no contest to 7 counts, including charges of identity theft, forgery, theft from a business setting, and fraud against a financial institution. A prison term was imposed but stayed. 42-year-old Christopher Thompson was also ordered to pay over $128,000 in restitution. Thompson, who was the treasurer of the Lakewood Fire Department Association, was ordered not to hold any position where he's the bookkeeper or has access to checks. The deadline for Wisconsin residents to get their real ID before hopping on a domestic flight is rapidly approaching. Starting tomorrow, any resident who is planning a domestic flight or plans to visit a military base or other federal building will need to have a real ID or other TSA-approved documents to do so. Department of Transportation officials say as of Friday, over 65% of Wisconsin residents had already gotten their real ID. If you don't have your real ID yet, a list of documents you need at your local DMV office can be found online. There was an investigation into leaked documents from the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but no source was found. Here's Savannah Tomei-Olson.
Last year, someone leaked a draft order from the state's high court saying they would agree to hear a challenge to the 1849 abortion law. According to a new report, investigators interviewed more than 60 people and reviewed computer records. That report says the computer usage data between June 13th, when that order was drafted, and June 26th, when Wisconsin Watch published a story on the order, was missing. But investigators found no evidence of an external breach.
I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
The Brewers are back to 500. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kuska filling in for Mike Clemens. Christian Yelich hit a 2-run home run as Milwaukee won its second game in a row. That blast was part of a 3-run third inning for the Brewers, winning 5-1 over the Houston Astros last night. The bullpen didn't allow a run.
Mears coming in the way he did, and Anderson facing the meat of the order in the 8th. That's kind of his first chance doing that, and thought Piams and Koenig both threw the ball well too. So good pitching performance and clutch hitting at the right time, and happy for our guys.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy. It'll be the same two teams, Brewers and Astros, again tonight. The two teams wrap up their 3-game series tomorrow afternoon. 1 week from tomorrow, the NFL will announce its 2025 schedule. The Green Bay Packers will have 8 home games and 9 away games. In addition to the home games against the Bears, Vikings, and Lions in the NFC North, the Packers will play each team in the NFC East and AFC North, as well as Carolina, Arizona, and Denver next year. Filling in for Mike Clemens, I'm Jimmy Kuska with Civic Media Sports.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly clear, a low near 50. And staying on the cooler edge tomorrow, but still very pleasant, partly to mostly sunny and a high in the low 60s. With sunshine on Thursday, the wind off the bay, highs only upper 50s. Right now, it's 73.
Rational Revolution with Mark Becker.
We're talking Medicaid with expert Lynn Meschke, the threats, the cuts, and what does it all mean for you?
Rational Revolution with Mark Becker, Saturdays at 2, Sundays at 1 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
When we got our home appraised, we felt robbed. Compared to a similar home right around the corner, our appraisal was $80,000 less.
Latino and Black homeowners are about twice as likely as white homeowners to get low appraisals. If you believe your home has been unfairly appraised because of race or national origin, contact HUD at hud.gov/fair housing. That's hud.gov/fair housing. Everyone has a right to fair housing. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy whose house has an actual wiggle room, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back to Night Light, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start Act 2 after a lovely intermission. Thanks for sticking with us. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite cool summer drink? It is National Beverage Day. And finally, the weather appears to be heading in the right direction.
And I think you're right, Conrad. We need to get Brittany Merlot on the show. She is a big-time award winner.
Yeah.
Swept the WBAs. And that is exciting. And Brittany works really hard at meteorology. And she's like a doctor of meteorology.
I think so.
Dr. Merlot. So enjoy the nice weather and tell us what your favorite cool summer drink is, folks. Alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever your beverage is of choice, let us know. Cliff Wall will be here in a little while. We're going to talk about Wisconsin State Parks. He is on the board of the Friends of the Wisconsin State Parks. So we'll talk to Cliff about all the fun things you can do this summer. Trails, parks, it's going to be a lot of fun. Cliff's been on the show before, and he is a swell guy. That's coming up in a little bit. Right now, I just learned actually a day or two ago that an incentives bill will be debated tomorrow, or they're having a hearing tomorrow, I think on the state Senate. We'll get all the details from our next guest, but it's Assembly Bill 231, a film incentive bill. And they're going to give it some attention tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. And here to help us kind of decipher this and figure out where things are at is a gentleman named Co O'Neill. He has spent the last 20 years teaching art and design and video production and screenwriting at UW Stout. And not only that, he used to work for Lucasfilm Limited. That's kind of cool. We'll talk to him a little bit about that as well. It is my pleasure right now to welcome Co to Nightlight. Hey, buddy.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Did I get it right? Did I miss something?
No, you did. No, you got it right. I've been teaching for the last 20 years or so. Not always at Stout. I just started at Stout in 2020. Before that, I was Portland State University in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And before that, I was in the movie business.
Very nice. Well, we'll get to all of that, I hope. But right now, this is a big deal tomorrow. What do you expect to happen? So it's Assembly Bill 231. The film incentive bill. What are you hoping happens tomorrow, and what will we know? First of all, tell us a little bit about, Co, if you would. What if the bill does pass? What does that mean?
So what it means is that the tax incentives could draw film production, television production, actually any kind of media production, including advertising, to the state of Wisconsin. And a lot of other states have it. I think we're one of only 3 or 4 states that doesn't have a state film board, and only 13 states that doesn't have any kind of incentives. And so what will happen is it allows any production company that is going to spend a certain amount of money on a production to do it here. They spend the money here, and then they get the rebate based on the money that they've spent. So, for example, if you came here to shoot a TV series and you spent $20 million in that TV series, you could get up to 30% back on that, because all of your payroll, all of your rentals, all that stuff that you would normally be paying taxes on goes right to the state of Wisconsin. And then the state of Wisconsin will refund 30% of that. So $6 million.
Yeah, and that's significant, and that makes a big difference. I mean, when you're choosing where to shoot your film, I shot a film in Wisconsin 20 years ago, and there were no incentives. Then I think they were here briefly, and then they didn't last long, and now there's a new attempt. What is the difference, Co, between getting an incentive, and it also says a 30% tax credit? I know that's what you're referring to, but is there a difference? I mean, filmmakers would rather have the cash back, right?
Well, that's right. And that's what the incentive is that you do get a tax rebate. And so it's not a grant. And I think that's one of the points of confusion, is that a lot of people think, oh, the state's just handing out money to people from out of state making shows here. And that's not the case. The case is you only get the money back once you've spent a certain amount of your budget here in the state over the course of a year, for example. So, some great examples are New Mexico, where they shot Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Like, those shows weren't written to take place in Albuquerque. They took place in Albuquerque because of New Mexico had a 45% tax incentive at the time. And Georgia's similar with the things like The Walking Dead or any of the Marvel movies, that were shot all in the Atlanta area. It's because of the incentive. And Georgia has been doing that for years, which is why they draw so much production.
I know that, Minnesota you can take advantage of 2 incentives if you shoot in northern Minnesota in the Iron Range. Let's say Wisconsin passes this and you get a 30% rebate. Do they still have to maybe push for even more to be competitive with some of these other states?
Not really, because Wisconsin does offer a lot of regional advantages. I mean, even look at topography. So the way we have hills and valleys and streams and lakes and all that kind of stuff that you see in other states, just not to the look that we have here. So think about a place like Door County. Like, you're not going to find a region like that in Minnesota, as nice as Minnesota is. And I think one of the reasons Minnesota does have it regional is because Minneapolis is such a center of advertising activity that could eat up a ton of incentive. And so then, if feature films or even car ads want to go to the Duluth area, they have to have a separate incentive. Otherwise, Minneapolis would just absorb it and it would be gone for the whole state. Whereas Wisconsin, I think, is much more balanced, and you won't see people just gravitating to Madison. They'll be going to places like, Superior, like I said, Door County, or even Green Bay, because of just how different all of those regions look.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your gut telling? What do you think will happen tomorrow? And what's the best case scenario for a group like Action Wisconsin to come out of the hearing tomorrow?
Well, unfortunately, it's not like a pageant. They don't just hold up the numbers and say, good job, you win. You have to actually kind of. I know it would be nice if we could just get tens and move on, but it's a long process. But the good news is that it is a very bipartisan bill, and it was actually drafted by Republicans, and obviously a lot of the arts kind of go to the liberal side, and so both sides are really vying for it because of the economic factors, and advantages it has towards the state. In other states, I was on the state film board in Oregon for many years, back in the early 2000s, and that was a very balanced thing. And the original concern was that, all the work's going to go right to the cities, but it turned out not to be the case. Like, people were actually looking for kind of rural communities or smaller communities that have a charm to them you just can't fake. And so in terms of what's happening tomorrow, you're probably aware that we've already done some testimony where we went to some of the events like in Hayward or West Dallas or Wausau, and spoke there and said, here's our case. But we had like 3 minutes, right? So tomorrow will be a dedicated hearing just to this bill, and there is no time limit. So it's not really a Cory Booker style filibuster, but it is the sort of thing where you can take 10 minutes and really make your case. A bunch of people can speak. So they'll just listen to us for a couple hours. It'll be the whole, committee will be there. And so it's really important to kind of be down there and be able to answer questions. And I think that's probably the biggest difference. But yeah, then they'll have to go and vote on it before the full legislature. It won't be, the committee makes recommendations to the full government. They don't just decide right there and sign it off.
So when will that happen? Like, let's say tomorrow goes well. When would the vote take place?
I wish I knew more about Wisconsin politics, but at the state level anyway. I don't know if they have like votes, quarterly or daily, or how they how it goes. And also some stuff can get tabled, right? They might say, "Oh, we'll push this to the next session" or whatever. So my hope is that it would happen in the next month or so, because then you could still get your state film board set up, and that takes some organizing. Because there are two components to this bill. It's not only the incentive, but also having, eventually establishing a state film board, which can be just one or two people. It doesn't have to be, a dozen folks, but the idea is you're starting to get local liaisons. Minnesota has those, where in smaller communities like Brainerd or even Roseau, they have a liaison that you can call to get location pictures or to walk people around if they're interested in certain areas. So getting that set up will take some time, but it'd be great if we could be rolling by the end of the year. But honestly, I don't know. That's my speculation.
That's the voice of Co O'Neill. He is a professor at UW Stout and has worked in the movie business for much of his adult life. He is taking a few minutes with us tonight to talk about this Bill 231 that will be up or is getting a hearing tomorrow in Madison. Will you be there, Co?
I will not. I'm actually just finishing up my semester here at Stout, but Action Wisconsin is sending down, I think, at least 12 people to be there to answer questions and give different perspectives from all over the state. So it's not just, Milwaukee. It's also places like Rice Lake and Superior and Hayward, and people coming from all over to go testify.
It's just great advertising for the state, and I really hope you guys are successful. Where do you think the public stands on this bill? Because you mentioned there's bipartisan report or support. And I remember meeting with someone in Madison about 10 years ago when I first moved back here that he wanted to, and he was dating a Republican representative, and they were very passionate about getting the bill passed. So that should tell you, with the bipartisan support, is it easier to get the public support? Where do you think the public stands on this right now?
It's a good question, because in other states that I've operated in the film business, you sometimes have some kind of maybe sort of big city feelings where you think that all the money's in the big cities and all these big cities are making decisions for smaller communities. And but also on the other side, you have a lot of people becoming more aware of kind of sort of more rural-based productions. Like, you think about the Walking Dead. I use that example a lot because of how long that show has run and how many people have seen it. So something familiar, but that didn't take place in Atlanta. A lot of it was shot out in the sticks, frankly. And so, but I think the challenge with the public is saying, well, wait, now we're spending $10 million a year on movie production. It's like, no, that's a cap on the credit. So it is going to be an important message to put out that people don't get money by shooting here. They only get the money based, percentage of what they've spent is an incentive to shoot here.
I think too, like at least my personal opinion is, I think you have to build a culture in the state too, and start young with kids theater and the arts and music and dance and acting and all that kind of stuff. Because I've seen it happen in some states where, we need money for infrastructure. Oh, kill the incentives bill. That's not how it works. This should be part of our culture in the fabric. But I think the goal, if it does pass, will be keeping the public interested in it, right? And keeping it going year after year.
That's right. And also explaining that it's not like a portion of the budget, of the state budget, that's sitting there waiting to be spent. It only goes out when money has come in. So
right.
It's what we like to say, kind of revenue neutral, where you're not spending money just to spend money. You're actually waiting till you get a revenue in from these productions, and then you return a certain amount of it, because all of the money that they've spent has gone into these communities. And I think a lot of people don't think about what goes into making a movie, which, having made one and having worked on them. It's not just about, let's rent a camera and go trample all the cornfields with our trucks. It's more about even one of the representatives I was talking to had made a movie in the Chippewa Falls area and had said, we rented portable air conditioners because the location that we were in was so hot, and we had to rent everyone in the whole area. And this was, somewhere north of Chippewa Falls. And so think about that, or you think about, even like cherry picker lifts where we hang lights from, like that, they rent that locally. They don't drive them in from Chicago or Los Angeles or places like that. That stuff is right in the town you're shooting it.
Right.
So,
and their incentive to do that is because that's how they can claim the incentives too. If they spend money out of state, it doesn't help them.
That's right. I was just going to say, just add quick too. It's a huge infusion just in terms of personnel too. So all those people have to stay in hotels. They'll eat at restaurants. They'll get all the catering. Right. And I think it was Rob Lowe, the actor, just recently said he was on a TV series where it was cheaper to fly 200 people to Ireland and make a movie than it was to shoot it in LA. And so,
all right. Hold on one second. Okay, Cole, we're going to do a really fast break, and then let's pick up there. We're going to get cut off here. Sure. Cole O'Neill is here. We're coming right back. It's Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Mark to DePere. This is 97.9 WGBW.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. There's been a whole lot happening in the political universe these last few months. Much of it has been rather discombobulating, you might say. From the first 100 days of the Trump administration to the high-stakes race for Wisconsin's Supreme Court and everything else that went into the spring election in Wisconsin, it's been a lot to wrap our heads around. But now we're entering a new phase on Wisconsin's political calendar. That's right, we're getting into budget season. The biennial budget is the biggest thing that happens in state politics every 2 years, and our elected officials in the Assembly and Senate are going to be making some important decisions in the very near future. Now is a great time to contact your representatives and let them know what you think our priorities should be for our next state budget. Because in a government by the people, participation is power, and your voice matters.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Wisconsin Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
Bring these people back. We got 125 school buildings that need lead abatement. We have 2,500 cases of lead poisoning in our community every year. It's very serious. This would hardly be regarded as waste, fraud, and abuse since kids cannot go to school in these buildings that are not remediated.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons 4 until 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
Day one,
The hardest day. The day you hear,
This is a type of blood cancer.
but day one is just one day. At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day one.
On day 45, I discovered an online community who shared great tips for in-treatment care.
I missed a lot of school during treatment, and LLS helped me keep up.
To learn more and get help on day 2, day 28, or any day, please visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572.
Mommy, how come I can't sit in the front seat?
Because I love you and you're just not ready yet.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Will you be a vision in white?
Great to have you with me on this gorgeous Tuesday night here in the state of Wisconsin. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite cool summer drink? It's National Beverage Day, and it looks like summer is, well, about to be here. So Cliff Wall is coming up in a few minutes to talk about the Wisconsin State Parks, something we have here that is an absolute treasure, and we'll talk about some of the things we can do this summer and what he does there for friends of the park. Right now, we have a few more minutes with our current guest, Co O'Neill, who is a professor at UW Stout and has worked in the movie business. He is involved with Action Wisconsin and trying to get film incentives passed here in Wisconsin. Assembly Bill 231 will get a hearing tomorrow in front of, is it the Ways and Means Committee, Co?
That's correct.
Okay. So before we move on, I want to ask you about what you did at Lucasfilm, because I find that fascinating too. But how can people, if they support this cause, what can they do?
Well, what they can do is let their representatives know that this is something they're interested in. And then once if the bill is passed and once things take shape, just to, let people know that you're there and that the community is accepting, and then supporting the film board, and by sending in something as simple as photos of interesting things in your area, because it's expensive and time consuming for an actual location scout to go out to every single town in the state,
Great point. All right. So let's, I would love to hear what you did. I know you worked for George Lucas, I believe. Our friend Nathan Deming told me that you worked for Lucasfilm. What did you do there?
That's right. I started at Skywalker Sound.
Wow.
Which back in the day, this is pre-Marvel, before Disney bought the whole empire, as it were. So I was hired as part of a big hire up for episode 1. At the time there had not been a Star Wars movie in something like 30 years at that point, or 20 years. And so episode 1 was being released in May of 1999. And I started there, and my original job was as a digital audio technician, which basically meant I restarted computers that crashed and helped support when sound editors or sound designers and mixers were finishing a movie, just making sure everything works smoothly. And then I transitioned into assistant sound editing, which involves cutting sounds. And so I was on, technically when you're there and you're, working on all these movies, you could say I worked on over 50 films, because over 50 films went through there in the time that I was there.
Jeez, that's amazing.
But it's not like I'm, was on editing on every single movie.
Just admit it. You're the next Luke Skywalker. It's fine.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. My first day at work, some guy showed up at the security kiosk dressed as Boba Fett and said he had a script he wanted George to read. So there was a lot of zaniness that happened there in those days.
Was that up in Central California, or was that in LA?
No, that was San Rafael, California. So
okay.
It's a little town called Nicasio, and George has a bunch of property out there, and that's where Skywalker Ranch is.
He's done well for himself.
Yeah, not bad.
Having done sound editing, it's funny. I just watched The Conversation about a week and a half ago, which I hadn't seen in years.
That's a Coppola movie. It's hugely underrated. It's genius.
It's great. And I never to me anyway, at least what comes to mind is that's the first film I think I saw where sound was so important, or maybe Blowout with Travolta back in the day. But I love the way they use sound, and you realize how important it is to that plot, but also just to movies in general.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was sound had kind of been around, but it hadn't really come through as a narrative sort of element, and ironically, one of the first movies to really use sound as a narrative element was Citizen Kane, because of how they just used things like reverb and giant spaces and that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
that didn't really happen before that. But there was a long time where, we had so many musicals in the studio pictures in the 50s, and that was just about everybody lip syncing pre-recorded stuff and dancing to it. And so when the French films came through in the 70s or late 60s, and then Coppola in the early 70s, pretty amazing stuff.
That's great stuff. Hey, before we let you go, and I really, truly thank you for your time tonight. This has been fun getting to know you. I hope we can get you back sometime. But do you have a cool summer drink that you are in favor of or a big fan of?
Man, I'm a sucker for the Arnold Palmer, just lemonade and iced tea. It's like, can't go wrong.
Arnold Palmer's running away with it tonight. That's fantastic. Co, great meeting you. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck tomorrow, and good luck with your efforts. I hope you guys are successful. Let me know if I can help in any way.
Yeah, thanks for your support.
You got it. All right, that's Co O'Neill. He is a professor at UW Stout, trying hard to get Assembly Bill 231 pushed through so we can have film incentives here in Wisconsin, which I think, to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, especially when you have bipartisan support and a lot of really dedicated and passionate people working to get this done. It could be a great thing for our state. So like he said, if you're in favor of that, you think it could be good for the state as well, please contact your representatives and let them know. Our question of the night, as I mentioned, is what is your favorite cool summer drink? Summer appears to be here. It is National Beverage Day. Yes, we have a National Beverage Day. And Steady Eddie says, checks in from the 608, and he says, Pete, my favorite in the backyard summertime drink is one cold bottle of Spotted Cow. But if Cardinal Pizzaballa is selected as the next pope, I will drink two. Slow down, Steady Eddie. It's not even officially summer yet. But have another Spotted Cow, buddy. You've earned it. Just from your texts alone and what you bring to Nightlight. I hope you have two beers because I think you've earned it. Bridget from the 818 says, fresh squeezed icy cold lemonade. Loved it as a kid and love it as an adult. That is a great choice. Thank you, Bridget. And second vote for lemonade tonight, too. It's like the all-American drink, right?
I think it just tastes really good.
Lemonade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes really well with iced tea. Like lemonade mixed together with a lot of stuff tastes good. Have you ever had Sprite and lemonade together?
I think I have.
That's amazing. That's
yeah.
That is a really good drink.
We could seriously do like just a what's your favorite lemonade, because there's so many great lemonades too. I know Country Time used to make one, but fresh squeezed is great.
Yep.
AJ in the 608 says, good day, Pete and Conrad. If I have to say, my favorite summer drink is iced tea. I love to add lime and lemon. Interesting. Lemon and lime. I like it, AJ. And if you're feeling loosey-goosey, a bit of booze. Loosey-goosey is a good thing. Thank you, AJ. Keep those texts coming. When we come back, we're going to have some state park talk with our pal, Cliff Wall. He is a board member of Friends of the State Park. Stick around for this and find out what parks you should visit this summer, because we have beautiful ones here in Wisconsin. This is Pete Schwaba. This is Nightlight. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is the talk of Green Bay, WGBW. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Dave Packer. India launching an overnight missile attack into Pakistan. At least 8 killed, 35 injured, say Pakistani officials. Right to ABC's Tom Sophie Burridge with the latest.
These are two, fairly hardline governments that have been at war in the past, that are going into a tit-for-tat situation at the moment. And there's no clear indication, I think, at this early stage of where this will head. And obviously the stakes are incredibly, incredibly high.
India is saying it hit terrorist infrastructure. The U.S. State Department avoiding expressing support for either side. ABC's Shannon Kingston at the State Department.
These are two nuclear powers, so it is very difficult to overstate just how chaotic, catastrophic a direct head-to-head war between the two countries could become.
The Pakistani army saying it's responding from the air and ground. The Pakistani prime minister calling it an act of war. This is ABC News.
The Brewers are back to 500. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kuska filling in for Mike Clemens. Christian Yelich hit a 2-run home run as Milwaukee won its second game in a row. That blast was part of a 3-run third inning for the Brewers, winning 5-1 over the Houston Astros last night. The bullpen didn't allow a run.
Mears coming in the way he did, Anderson facing the meat of the order in the 8th. That's kind of his first chance doing that, and Payamps and Koenig both threw the ball well too. So good pitching performance and clutch hitting at the right time, and happy for our guys.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy. It'll be the same two teams, Brewers and Astros, again tonight. The two teams wrap up their 3-game series tomorrow afternoon. 1 week from tomorrow, the NFL will announce its 2025 schedule. The Green Bay Packers will have 8 home games and 9 away games. In addition to the home games against the Bears, Vikings, and Lions in the NFC North, the Packers will play each team in the NFC East and AFC North, as well as Carolina, Arizona, and Denver next year. Filling in for Mike Clemens, I'm Jimmy Kuska with Civic Media Sports.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Donald Trump was in the news this past weekend. No, seriously. The president claims he is going to save Hollywood and movies by imposing 100% tariffs on movies made outside the United States. There is a lot to be worked out, obviously, and only time will tell how this will be executed. According to Variety, the reaction in the Hollywood community was one of shock. This could affect or even kill a project by one of his own ambassadors to Hollywood, Mel Crazytown Gibson, who is planning to shoot his Passion of the Christ sequel in Italy. The president called movies being made outside our borders a national security threat, which exposed Americans to propaganda. The president was unclear if it was more dangerous than his own homespun propaganda. It's a good thing he's acting fast before the British thespian invasion overtakes our republic. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Tonight, mostly clear, a low near 50. And staying on the cooler edge tomorrow, but still very pleasant, partly to mostly sunny and a high in the low 60s. With sunshine on Thursday, the wind off the bay, highs only upper 50s. Right now, it's 73.
Every year, millions of pets go missing, leaving families heartbroken. If you lose or find a pet, Love Lost is here to help. Our free, easy-to-use platform uses photo matching technology across multiple media platforms to bring lost pets home. Just upload a photo and quickly search the largest national lost and found pet database. Let's unite to reunite, because every lost pet deserves to find their way home. Register today at lovelost.com.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Ross calling in.
Thanks for your show. I'm just wondering if we're watching or witnessing a legal system where what we thought was precedent is now going to be sort of cast away.
The reality is the question that you raise about the future and what are the implications when in fact the things we understood always to be bedrocks of our community, of our nation, are no longer that.
Amicus, a law review, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. Maggie Dawn.
Next up, you're not going to want to miss it. Heather Cox Richardson, the famous historian.
Let's floss gingerly.
Let's floss gingerly, baby. What phrase would get an NFL team more fired up than that? And Tom Brady yelling, LFG. Let's floss gingerly. I love it. Perfect thing for combat sports. Hey, if you're listening, folks, and you like the show, don't be afraid to give us a like or a follow on Facebook or YouTube or where else are we on, Conrad? We're on X.
Twix, yeah.
Twix.
We're on Twix.
Friendster, maybe?
Yeah.
Anybody still on Friendster? MySpace?
I don't know.
We love to get likes and follows. And we love when you text us. So you can still get in under the wire. What is your favorite cool summer drink? Right now, I'm very excited to welcome my next guest. I met this gentleman about a month ago when he was here. And we were talking about an entirely different topic. We'll touch on that too. But he is a member of the Friends of the Park board. Friends of the Park in the state of Wisconsin.
Friends of Wisconsin
State Parks. I'm glad you clarified that, Cliff, but don't get mouthy. Cliff Wall is here. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, I'm
glad to be here and trade some barbs and, take a few pokes at.
You used to sell cars, and I've only known you. This is the second time I've been around you, and you seem like just like the nicest guy. Did you sell a ton of cars? How rich are you? How much do you make a year, Cliff? That's really why I wanted to.
I'm on Social Security now. I'm on a fixed income.
Okay.
Can we leave it at that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm not asking for a loan. I'm just like, you're a nice guy. You must have done very well. So it's great to have you back here, buddy. And when you were here with Sam Vanacci.
Yes,
and
sir.
You guys were trying to get Jack into the NFL Hall of Fame, a campaign to get him in. He hired, or was part of the hiring team that brought Vince Lombardi here. Pretty good resume. And you were going to set up a booth at the draft or a station or something. How did that go?
Well, here's what we did. I think we got petitions and we put them around the city.
Okay.
Can I name names?
Yeah.
Okay. So we had some at Margaritas. We had some, of course, at the Redwood Inn. My buddy Mike Bloomer at St. Michael's. Let's see. A Bravo restaurant.
You mean flyers like just to?
No, we actually put, yes, placards with petitions.
Okay.
So people come in and sign.
Oh, nice.
Union Hotel, of course, because that's kind of famous in Packer history.
Okay.
Boss's News Depot, another icon.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then the Blue Collar along Broadway, Cropsies, and Lenny's Pub.
Nice.
And there's some more around that I don't remember. And then Sam did set up a tent on the corner of Oneida. Lombardi and Ridge Road.
Yeah.
And he actually had Jack's daughter, Valerie, there, and she got a ton of signatures. I mean, just a ton. So
Wow,
we've
great.
got public support. Now we have to get the sports writers
Okay.
involved. And I did talk to Pete Doherty, and he said, well, find out who's on the committee for the seniors. There's three groups, I guess: seniors, owners, and contributors.
Okay.
And he'd be a contributor, obviously.
Yeah.
So we've got to do that and get a little. Oh, I would say maybe an 8x10 sheet of high points of why Jack should be in the media. Should be voted to the NFL Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's already in the Packer Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool on its own. But I mean, that would be something if you guys could help get him in.
And if I remember correctly, you're mostly talking about the Bears because you're from Chicago, and so is Sam. So I was trying to interject. Hey, let's talk about.
I know you kept trying to reel us back, and all I wanted to do was ask him questions about what it's like growing up with two brothers, one who became a rock star executive here in Green Bay, and another one who was an executive for the Bears that helped build the '85 Bears.
Right.
That's incredible.
Right.
And he was a veterinarian. He wanted nothing to do with that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Interesting guy to listen to and to talk to. I really enjoy hearing his story.
He was fun to have on. I hope you guys are successful. But you do a lot of work with Friends of the Park in Green Bay, but you're part of Friends of the Wisconsin State Parks. Okay.
FWSP.org. I got to put the FWSP.org. That's Friends of Wisconsin State Parks.
Okay.
.org, and that's our website. And obviously we have, just like you, we have a Facebook page, so like us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
like us.
Tell us what your group does. What do you guys, what are your passions, and what are you trying to do on behalf of the state parks?
Well, here's kind of officially.
Okay.
We are the umbrella group for friends groups of individual state parks. So our real mission is preserve, promote, protect, and enhance state parks.
Yeah.
And trails. We should include trails on there.
Absolutely.
We've kind of gone down to two things, which is advocate and educate. Now, just so I don't get in trouble, we do not lobby.
Okay.
We're not a lobbyist organization. We are a 501c3.
Okay.
So we basically it's promote parks and just what it says. And
yeah,
of course, in 2024 there were 20 million visits at the state parks. And,
wow.
And that's just parks. And then there's also trails. We have a trail right out the door here, basically the Fox River Trail.
River, yeah.
And that actually starts on Poirier Street and heads south from Poirier Street in Green Bay, just so there's no confusion on that. So
how many of those 20 million people are from Wisconsin. Like, I'm sure we get a lot of visitors probably from Illinois, Iowa, maybe Minnesota. But how many of those do people in the state utilize the parks like you hope they would?
Yeah, yes, they do.
Okay.
Now I should know that. You got me. You shot me, and I don't have an
wasn't
answer.
trying for that, Cliff.
That's all
Next
right.
time a pie graph. Would it kill you to bring in a nice pie graph? And we can.
Yeah, it's always pie graph's always great on the radio.
Exactly.
I thought he was doing well. I wore my Heritage Hill volunteer
No, I
shirt.
like that. Yeah, I like
Does it
that.
look volunteer in the back.
I got it. Yeah.
And of course,
fantastic.
that's what we try to do. Friends of Wisconsin State Parks, we have 10-person board right now, and hint, we could use some more members.
Conrad?
Yep. We could use another board member or two.
Maybe go a little younger. Get the kid Conrad Krieger on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, here's what I see as kind of an issue is if you look at me, the board looks a lot like me or a female version of me. So
you're the young guy on the board. They call you kid.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yes.
I'm actually older than you, Cliff, so I don't know if I'm the answer either. But Conrad,
I don't think you are. But
well, this is great. So when did this start? Like, everybody has like a side hustle, a pet project, a hobby. What is this for you? Is this a hobby? And how did you get into this? Like, when did you realize you wanted to do something? You're just passionate about parks your whole life, or did it develop at some point?
I can start way back. My uncle and my father, my uncle bought some property at Whitefish Dunes, which is now a state park, but it was between Whitefish Dunes or the beach and Cave Point. He had property there in the 1940s.
Where is that?
Where's what?
Whitefish Dunes.
Whitefish Dunes is north of Sturgeon Bay on the lake side.
Okay.
Of
nice.
Of between Jacksonport and Sturgeon Bay. So
Gotcha.
let's say about 10 miles out of 10 miles out of Sturgeon Bay on the Lake Michigan side.
Gotcha.
So they built a place there. So I was going to that area before I was born. Kind of my, when you talk about
prenatal, you're going back.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So it is now actually it's part of Whitefish Dune State Park. In fact, you can still see the foundation, the concrete foundation. There's still some remnants there. And if you're walking from the Dunes Park towards Cave Point, kind of along the waterfront, you'll see two huge hemlock trees. That's what I remember as a kid, and they are still there.
Oh,
and
wow.
You can walk down and Cave Point, if you haven't been there, it's pretty spectacular.
Not. We go to Door County a lot too, but we mostly are on the bay side.
Yeah.
But we've been to the
you're
lake
kind
side.
you sound like Potawatomi Peninsula,
mostly Sister Bay, Egg
Sister
Harbor.
Bay, okay.
But we've been to Jacksonport, and we've gone to eat in Bailey's Harbor. But Door County is just beautiful to begin with. But what are some of your favorite state parks? Like, where would you tell someone to go?
Oh boy. Let's see.
Pick three,
Pick three. Okay. We were just my wife and I were just at Potawatomi because they opened up the tower about a week and a half ago.
Is that the one in Fish Creek?
Nope. That's Peninsula.
Oh,
it's the one in Sturgeon Bay is Potawatomi.
Okay. Gotcha.
And we walked up the tower, 100 steps up the tower.
Nice.
And beautiful view of Sawyer Harbor and the islands out there and the bay coming into Sturgeon Bay.
Yeah.
Beautiful up on that thing. And of course, I do like Rock Island way up because that's rugged camping. That's true camping.
Is that still in Door County?
That's on the tip of Door County, just off of, it's just past Washington Island on that little chain that kind of heads across.
Oh, wow.
And that's a park worth going to because that was started by a Chicago. You're going to love this. It was started by a guy in Chicago who invented the big transformers, and he is Norwegian, so he has a replica of a Norwegian longhouse there, and it's a boathouse. Really interesting. And he was trying to grow rutabagas and different things and kind of make it, I don't want to say communal, but kind of a communal area. And of course, then employees from the company could go up. They take a boat from Chicago and go up there.
Wow.
It's worth visiting. And of course, there's a lighthouse. You can actually be a docent at the lighthouse for a week, and you have to be at the lighthouse for like from 10 till 3 or something to show people the lighthouse and take them up and see a replica of the Fresnel lens.
That'd be a cool side gig. Yeah, absolutely.
So to get there though, you have to go from Washington Island ferry across, and then go across Washington Island to catch the Carfee, the Rock Island ferry.
Oh my
now
gosh.
Now that the water is low, you could probably almost walk across.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you might have to jump or swim for about 10 feet or so, but
I could handle that. I'm an athlete. Cliff Wall is here, folks. He used to sell cars in abundance, and now he is working on behalf of the Wisconsin State Parks. He's been on the show before, and we're talking state parks. So
I didn't answer the question. You asked me.
Well, you told me to. I wasn't going to let you off the hook, though. You got to give me one non-Door County park now.
Okay, all right.
Let's do that.
I had never been to Lapham Creek, and we had a meeting there, and that's in just past Waukesha.
Okay,
and that's a really nice park. They have it's worth seeing. A couple donated land, and their house. So the house is like I'd call it kind of Frank Lloyd Wright-ish.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of glass overlooking the Lapham Peak area,
Okay.
and that's the Ice Age Trail goes there.
Yeah, that's the that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Another one is Willow River Park. That's over by Hudson.
Okay.
And of course, now the other thing. Now I've not been there, but the oldest park in Wisconsin is Interstate Park in St. Croix Falls, and that's
way west, right?
Way west.
Yeah.
Yep. And then across that, there's the Minnesota Interstate Park. So that's how they.
Okay.
One side of the west side of the river is Minnesota Interstate, and east side is Wisconsin, and that's the oldest park.
Is the Chequamegon Forest part of the Wisconsin State Parks, or is that a different?
That's technically a national
park.
Forest.
Okay,
national forest.
National
Yeah,
forest.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cliff Wall is here. We're going to do a very short break, and we will come back. And I don't know. I'll try to keep you on your toes, Cliff. I'll ask you something cool. We're coming right back. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
So light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd. Whoever wanna come along. Word up, talk, just move right up the wall. They're light, skies are light, so we dance to the break of dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the medicine, so you should keep your eyes on the ball. This is getting heavy. Can you hear the bass? Boom, I'm ready. Levies, chillin', honey. Yeah, this bitch ching like money. And this
Reach, engage, grow with Civic Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
Hey, it's Amanda with another new Wisco 411 for you, brought to you by Area 509 in Appleton. And the Downtown De Pere Foodie Walk is almost here. You can join in for a fun culinary tasting event, which will feature signature food items and select beverage pairings from downtown eateries in De Pere. So on Saturday, May 10th, from 1 till 5 p.m., you could find yourself at the Abbey Bar eating some mac and cheese paired with a featured beer of the month. It's only $25 a ticket. Head to WGBW.FM and click events to get yours.
The Todd Albaugh Show.
How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? I'm so glad for these calls and texts because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives that mattered to me the most, and I think is the best indication of where our state is at.
Catch the Todd Albaugh Show at its new time, weekdays 2 to 4 on Civic Media and the Civic Media app.
At National Geographic Society, we believe in the power of wonder. It drives us to explore, pushes us to see the world differently, moves us to action. And we believe that today, wonder is more essential than ever.
Wow.
That's why we're supporting a new generation of explorers to ask big questions, make breakthroughs, and bring the future closer. Wonder awaits. Will you join us? Visit natgeo.org/wonder.
Mino and the Mayor.
I talked to my brother yesterday, the priest, and he's in Quick Trip, and this lady's there, and she goes, I got up and watched the Pope's funeral this morning. Well, that's great. She goes, that was on really early. And he goes, oh yeah, 3:30. She goes, they probably did that because of the draft.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 and 96.5 WISS and the Civic Media app.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless.
But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Missed your favorite show live on air? It's easy to find what you enjoy wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And we're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app.
Your local Civic Media radio station is your source for real news and great conversation, plus fun and exciting contests. For a complete list of contest rules, log on wgbw.fm/contest-terms. This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us. Rebuilding and refreshing local radio.
Welcome back. This is Nightlife with P. Schwaba. Great to have you with me here. We are barreling through a Tuesday night show here with our guest, current guest, Cliff Wall. Tomorrow night, folks, we have all kinds of fun planned. Oh, the lights just went out again, Conrad. What is the deal?
I'm not sure.
What are you doing over there?
Not making any movement over there.
Is that what we got to? Well, we're waving our arms around. What are we supposed to do? Do a tap dance or something? Tomorrow night on the show, folks, it's everyone's a critic show. Piet Levy is here from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. He writes about music. And then our pal Rob Thomas joins us to talk movies and TV at 7:20. So tune in for that. We have a few minutes more here with Cliff Wall, who is a board member of Friends of the Wisconsin State Parks. And we got about 5 minutes left, Cliff. What do you want to hit on? Like, how can people get involved?
Okay, let's talk about why really I'm here. This is
I thought I knew, but if
you're
pulling a fast one here, by all means.
No. So we talked about we're advocate and educate, but we're tasked this year because it's 125 years of Wisconsin State Parks. And look at this. I brought Pete a present. It was either the famous Swedish dish towel or a kayak, and I couldn't get the kayak in the door, so I brought him the dish towel.
Thanks for nothing, Cliff.
Yeah.
This is great, though. It's kind of cool.
You can probably sell that on eBay if
done.
Probably 50 cents you might get.
And I'll donate it to the parks. Everybody wins.
So we are trying to raise $125,000 that as an organization, Friends of Wisconsin State Parks. And it's a little harder than you think because donors also like to give to the parks in their area.
Right.
But I look at it this way. Let's say there's 20 million visits to state parks and trails every year,
which is incredible.
Yeah. If each one of those people that visited gave $1, we'd raise $20 million.
And do you have that? Do you have like a little bucket or something where you kind of encourage donations?
We're trying to get there. And of course, so 125,000, I can kind of break it down.
Yeah.
So because I'm on that committee of trying to raise money.
Yeah.
So I say, well, we can get 10 corporate donors at $12,500 each.
Okay.
We can get 1,000 $125 donors, or we can get a small portion of the state of Wisconsin, 125,000 people each donate $1.
Yeah.
And we're there. I like to break the numbers down to smaller, chewable amounts.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't seem so overwhelming. Right.
Yeah, now then people say, so what do you do with that money? Well, as a group, we take any money received and we give out matching grants to the friends group around the state. And we start out, let's start out with, we have matching grants. So sometimes it's something as simple as a picnic table, a fire ring, signage for the parks.
Okay.
Then it, goes up the ladder. We'd like to have a naturalist in the state parks during the summer to have a naturalist program. So we'd contribute half of that for the parks. And then up to it, like a track wheelchair for people with disabilities access to parks.
Do they not have that now, or is that?
Well, we've got a few. We'd like to get more around the bigger parks,
right.
Or a kayak launch.
Yeah,
some of those kind of things. So it goes up the chain that we try to help friends groups, and there's 67 well, let's start. There's 50 state parks.
Okay.
There's 44 state trails, and there's 67 friends groups. Now I'm going to ask you a question about state. There's 44 state trails. They're all on land except for one.
They're all on land except for one, which would mean it would have to be sky or water. Is one of them the water? Okay. Like a kayak.
Well, there's actually a trail along Lake Michigan, kind of from Sheboygan north.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. So that's the only one that's not on land.
How do you do? Is it kayak or is it like?
Well, you can
swimming?
Swim, you can walk. You can,
oh, thanks.
Yeah. That's why I didn't bring.
You just lost me, Cliff.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bring the kayak. And then, of course, the Ice Age Trail is big too.
That's
1,200 miles.
That
through
sounds
Wisconsin.
so cool. I love that. Well, all right. So before we run out of time, I want to talk about you have a couple big events coming up, but people can find out more information about what you're talking at the website, which is
and donate too.
And donate. And feel free to donate. I'm going to give Cliff.
He's going to give me. Yeah, Peter's going to donate back this nice.
Whatever I sell that for on eBay, I'm going to give you the money. It's fwsp.org. fwsp.org.
There's donate buttons all over that website.
Yeah.
You can't get on the website.
And like you said, even $1. If everybody, that's kind of cool. But talk about these. You have this September 20th. Tell us what's happening September 20th.
So September 20th at Interstate Park, which is in St. Croix Falls.
Okay.
The reason it's there is that was the first state park in Wisconsin in 1900. Across the river is the Minnesota Interstate
Park.
So September 20th is going to be the celebration of 125 years of state parks.
That's really cool. Yeah. So, and then you have another big event coming up that you said you didn't have all the details on, but people can find that.
Lapham Peak is opening up a new visitor center.
Okay.
And that's coming up in May. Go to the website to find that. And then one last thing, Pete.
Yeah.
So how can your listeners help? Donate. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Join a friends group and volunteer. The other thing is, if I found out trying to raise money that some of these businesses you have to have a sponsor that works for the business to get your foot in the door.
Gotcha.
So if you're in a business where they have a giving program for recreation and we need a sponsor, get a hold of us on the website.
Okay.
Yeah. Get a hold of us on the website.
I think Conrad LLC is all we need. We can donate through that. So.
Yes.
Cliff, this is fun. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, ginger beer, by the way.
Keep up the. Oh, yeah. I didn't ask you your favorite cool summer drink. Ginger beer is perfect because let's floss gingerly. One more text in the 414. Tom checks in, says lemon with a shot of tequila lime is overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
He's chiming in with the drinks he doesn't like. Okay. Thanks, Tom. I would like to thank my guest, Mr. Cliff Wall, who came into the studio tonight. That's always fun. Great to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
Ben Giles, Co O'Neill, and thank you for all your texts and calls, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back to do this all again tomorrow night. On behalf of the lovable producer, Conrad, I'm Pete Schwaba saying good night, Wisconsin.
I'll sing it to you.